Okay, now something should be working here. Let's see, did I get this actually working? Yes, it's actually working. There goes 20 minutes of fiddling around that did not work. I figured it out. I now know why I'm a complete failure. Well, not a complete failure, but mostly a failure. I actually had this listed as unlisted and not public. Apparently I'm still working on the autofocus issue though. Wow, is that ever jumping in and out? That's got to be the lights. Let's see what I can do there. That's really bad. There's Kappa. Just trying to figure out why it keeps wanting to autofocus. Let's see if I can sort that out. High Country Fly Life. Good to see you again. And yeah, last weekend, I know you were here. I was binge watching your channel after the live stream we did here. Dom, I've gotten word that the eagles are showing up in the area, but we've not put the drones up yet. Is that still going in and out? Oh my God. Wow. I apologize if the focus is doing its thing again. That I can't seem to sort out why it's doing that. It's almost like it's changing the light levels on its own again. Cody K, hello. Dan. Oh, at Dramatic Effects. Sure. So Cody and Dan, just so you guys know, I guess you can't really see it. Just down to my left is my bucket of pop-up making madness. That's what my afternoon plan is. So I will be doing that later on. I will be getting those pop-ups made for you guys, and then we'll get them sent out as soon as they're ready. What have I got it set up on? Well, it's just my phone on a tripod. But it's a new phone. I'm still trying to figure out all the camera features so that it doesn't autofocus, but it seems to want to do it on its own. High Country Fly Life. Yeah, so after the last live stream, the January live stream that you got in on, I had mentioned that I had seen your channel. Basically, my afternoon was spent just kind of tidying up around, you know, the basement, the studio area, and stuff like that. I put your channel on, and I think I watched probably 2/3 of your videos while I was doing that. Man, you've got some beautiful landscape there, but those trout, like the markings on those trout are unbelievable. Like, you must not have browns and rainbows that look like that anywhere else in the world. They were absolutely stunning. Like, I had seen some of your videos before, I liked them, but to actually sit down and watch them one after another, like, unreal quality of fish you got there. Okay, Cap, if you're asking about the lights, basically they're the two lights that I've taken from my drafting table. They're just the like overhead office lights that kind of clip on to a desk or something like that. They're the ones I use at my for drawing and stuff like that, so I can bring them in. It's not the like you can see I put my arms up and it changes the light level. That's entirely the camera on the phone doing that. Dom, you blanked for carp today? That's a shame. And your GoPro's missing, so you don't even know where that is to film anything. That sucks. Well, I'm glad there's a few people jumping in there. The phone is, I don't remember, Samsung something. Couldn't tell you. A week ago I probably remembered. Right now I don't. So basically I'll go into the reason why we're live today. It's not our typical live stream day. I was ice fishing last weekend up on Lake Simcoe. Did a nice solo run up there, got it on the ice. Basically it was a morning, like a start of everything going wrong. I had a horrible snowstorm that I had to drive through at one point. That just kind of popped up out of nowhere and ended just as quickly, but it was terrifying driving through it. Then once I finally got up there, the underwater camera stopped working, just completely crapped out. Couldn't get the action cams to work. And I basically had a one camera angle, just talking about my tactics and stuff like that. And Goldie and I looked at the footage and we were going to put that up today, but we just feel like it's missing something. So we didn't put it up today. We're going to kind of revisit it. I'm going to go back through. There's over an hour and a half of footage, and I want to make sure that we're not just putting up something dry. You know, Goldie's in agreement that we don't want to just throw up a video for the sake of throwing up a video. So it's one of those cases where if we can pull something out of that we think is going to be useful and help people, but also still be entertaining, then we'll put that up sometime in the near future. But for now, we just didn't feel that it was ready to go up. Let's see here. Dom, you think you left your GoPro on the bank somewhere? That would suck. That's awful. So high country fly life. Yeah, the trout there are just unreal. And so you're saying it's the specifics of the environment there that make them have that kind of, some of them have, like you said there, like they have that leopard print spots almost. And it's, you know, here we get a brown trout and they're gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but yours were like on a whole other level. Like they're a whole other, like, genetic amazement to make them look like that. Now, high country fly life, you being in New Zealand, you guys have carp down there. I'm pretty sure. I know you guys have the New Zealand team that won the World Carp Classic a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now. So it'd be neat to actually see you throw carp in the mix there with the fly rod if you could. Dan, you went and did the Back Lake mission, so you were caught in that snow as well. Yeah, because if you came back Saturday and I went out Sunday morning, we probably would have hit the same storm, or I hit the one right after you. Ooh. Excuse me. Only wild goldfish in New Zealand and tench. Well, I don't know about that, but I will say this. Tench is one of my bucket list fish. I want to catch one. And right now in Canada, if I want to go catch one, I got to go track one down in Quebec somewhere. There seems to be a small population in Quebec that the guys can get into in this little isolated lake, but they haven't ventured out this way so far. Well, if you've got carp 10 minutes down the road, you know, have a carp adventure sometime. That'd be really cool to see. You know, there's lots of videos out of fly fishing for carp, but I don't think they get the same kind of respect that they should. And, you know, seeing the way you trout fish, you know, it's clear that you would, you know, do things right. So that would be neat to see. Okay, so yeah, with the ice fishing video kind of on hold for now. Not entirely certain what we're doing tomorrow. I get a chance to get out tomorrow, but I'm hoping that our winter carp spot will be not frozen. Pretty much all of last night and today it is pouring rain out. It was like 8 degrees yesterday. I was at work working on my machine in a t-shirt. So, you know, the minus 15 that we had last week when I was ice fishing to +8 yesterday. That's a big jump, but I'm hoping that it broke up the ice in some of those slack water areas, because it would be really nice to get out and get some carp tomorrow. You know, I got a few things that Goldie and I had talked about maybe shooting. If we get the chance to do that tomorrow, great. If not, at least try and get out on the bank, get a carp, because the river, unless you've got a boat to get out in the upper or the lower river, there's really not a lot coming out. The river's really murky, it's high. We're just not getting the kind of conditions that would be ideal to be getting out in most of the places that I want to fish right now. So we're going to check our carp spot in the morning. Hopefully the water levels are up and that they're not frozen, and if that's the case, we should be able to get a line in and hopefully get a carp or two through the day. Yeah, Cody, I absolutely do agree with you. I hope we have an early spring. You know, it would be nice for things to not get as cold and frozen as they did last year. You know, last year being so late when winter finally did hit us, it really messed things up for the spring, and it pushed everything back. You know, some of the spots that we have locally here, we weren't getting carp there until like the end of July. We should have been catching them in June there. The weeds just didn't come up early enough, so the fish didn't push in the way we would have expected. Cool. I think we've convinced High Country Firelife to go do a carp session, so that'll be neat. Definitely watch his channel, and hopefully he'll put a video together. This is me pretty much begging for it, because I'd love to see it. Oh, there's Ray. Yeah, hopefully we'll find some open water. There's lots of open water, but it's a matter of, you know, are the conditions right for any fish to actually be there? Like, I can go up to the upper Niagara right now, and I'll have open water to fish in, but the fish might not be up on the shallows, because generally they come up on there when it's like super cold, and they come up and hold up in the silt. Right now they're going to be moving around looking for food, you know, following the schools of bait fish. So unless there's something to hold those bait fish into that one spot that I really want to go to, I'm probably not going to find them in the big water, so I'm going to have to go look for the small waters. Can I play you a song on the chicken? No. I'm not that talented to actually whip out a song on a chicken. Any of you guys who do follow the group Little Big, they're a really messed up band, I think out of Russia. They're hilarious, but they have a song called Go Bananas, where like one of the main instruments through the thing is a rubber chicken. So that video is on YouTube. I play it all the time because it makes my kid laugh. But it's actually a really upbeat, kind of weird techno kind of tune. But yeah, it's played on a rubber chicken, so that would be pretty cool. Has anyone seen the new Ridge Monkey bivvy? The video that dropped yesterday, I think, with the whole range of the bivvies. I'm seeing already that there's a lot of people that have kind of mixed feelings on that. Some people are just right away flipping out that it's going to cost a fortune because it is expensive. Keep in mind, guys, that anything new on the market is going to be expensive, especially when it's a completely different design than most. With that said, you know, somebody like me on a budget and being in Canada, looking at the price of I think the one bivvy was like 999 pounds. That's almost $2,000 for me. So, you know, it is pricey, but keep in mind, you know, they've been testing this for a long time. Let's see kind of what the response is once the public starts getting their hands on it, and then we can all make more informed decisions about if we like it or not. But if you want my 2 cents, I think the thing looks sick. I really like the look of the design. I like how quick it looks like it sets up. Looks like it's incredibly simple. See I saw one post this morning where somebody actually kind of did it up with Photoshop to make it look like it was a kite, like the wind was going to go in that front end and just blow the whole thing away. I don't know. until the general public really gets out there, it's going to be hard to say how it reacts to the wind, or unless maybe Ridge Monkey does a video to actually show a little bit more detail of the features. That would be interesting. I think the other thing I really like about it is that it doesn't look like a traditional bivvy, but it's still got that quick setup feature that a lot of the newer ones have. Like my Tempest Brawley, I absolutely love that I can just kind of fan that out, click the one pole, and it's up and ready to go. You know, for them to just fold out the sides, lift it up, and lock it in place, I'm all about the quick setup, man. That looks really, really cool. But it also looks like it has a lot of headroom, being that kind of rectangular or square shape in the front. You know, I'm somebody who needs a lot of space, and one of the things right now that I'm running into the trouble with is I got my nice new tall witchwood chair. I can't sit in my Tempest Brawley. That's way too short. I barely sit in it with a low chair because I'm so tall. So it's one of those things where, you know, more of these kind of new designs on the market, quick setups, have more headroom, especially in the front. You know, I'm all for it. I really want to check one of those out, you know, in person and actually get to sit in one and check it out. So hopefully we'll get to see some more videos about those things and people maybe start doing some reviews. Cody K, I was scared of a toaster company making accessories, but Ridge Monkey makes quality gear. Yeah, I can't argue that. I do have quite a bit of Ridge Monkey stuff. I like it. I don't know if I would just call them a toaster company, maybe because that's what they started with, but everybody starts somewhere. You know, lots of businesses start out in a weird place and then just, boom, go from there. You know, for all we know, that was their plan all along, and you know, they just got in on a spot in the market that, you know, really they felt they could get in easy and get some audience. And, you know, once you've got one product that people really like, anything else you do, people are going to check out. So one of the things that I thought I'd do today, and there's this, it's kind of that time of year, especially in Canada, maybe some of the States, for the guys that, you know, we're not getting out for carp as much as we would like, either because it's completely frozen, or, you know, with the water temperatures down, you know, if you don't have the small water and you just have big water around, the fish aren't really locking up on any one spot for you to get at them. Some people just put their gear away for the winter altogether and don't fish. Will. You know, he just doesn't get out in the wintertime. Demir doesn't fish during the wintertime. So it's one of those things where, what are you going to do with your time? So I thought, you know, I'd attack my Tacklebox, because my Tacklebox gets to be a complete disaster. Yeah, you keep your vulgar language to yourself there, Will. My Tacklebox gets to be a complete disaster, and Will, now that I know that you are listening, you can attest to that. You've seen my Tacklebox and how much of a bomb exploded in there. So I thought maybe I'd dump it out and maybe go through a little bit of the stuff that's in there and sort it out, just in case I do get out for carp tomorrow. Dom, have you been watching 39 Hours? Absolutely, I've been watching 39 Hours. If you guys haven't checked that video series out, before you watch the new season, go back and watch the last season. It's funny. There are some things that bother me about it. You know, the reference to some of these species as like the garbage fish, or their garbage list of species that they're catching, like sheephead, carp, gizzard shad, suckers, things like that. You know, it's one of those things where I wish they could throw a little bit more respect towards those fish, but you know, it's a fun competition, and you know, with Paul and Taro being somewhat local guys, it's kind of nice to have them there to cheer on. You know, they are nice guys. Let's see. Painful to look at, be fair. You're talking about my Tacklebox, is that right, Will? Because it's awful, and it's a multi-part setup actually. Come here. have like, oh, one of those drones just rolled away. I got all kinds of, yeah, this is like bobbins and stuff in here. So all these little cases, I have them everywhere. And like a proper tackle box here, you can see there's only a few random things in there because I pretty much use this once a year. I use this tackle box completely full, filled up, set up for the Canada Carp Cup. My intention when I got this proper size tackle box was to actually use this kind of as my home base where I keep all of my gear, and I would use it for longer sessions. In 2019, I did one long session. I think I did like 2 other little quick overnighters, but one long session for the Carp Cup, and that was it. Everything else I've been doing, I've been fishing out of this tracker bag, this large bits bag, and my PVA bag, and my lead bag, and that's it. Just throwing these in a backpack and getting out, you know, to any little spot I can. So I haven't really had to move things around or change things up a bit and get it properly organized. And, you know, this is the time of year where I really should get all of this organized. I got to get after drum. They look fun. Dude, they fight. Actually, this picture here. Now, this is old, so please ignore the fish care of me holding it up by the gills. The lights probably aren't going to let you see this properly. That right there is my biggest drum to date. Probably caught that. Based on the facial hair, I would say that that's late 90s, maybe 98, 99. I was down the whirlpool casting a 7-inch flutter spoon for salmon, and I had a hit that felt like a salmon. Like, it was a monstrous hit. Just slammed it, rod tip wang down, and because of their flat body, they can get in the current and hold just as well as any salmon. It was a hell of a fight getting that thing in, and it was, I think, 11 pounds or 12 pounds, something like that. It was a big drum, and they get bigger around here. I do have a spot where I did find that they congregate and actually feed sideways on a wall, like a bridge abutment. If I can get there this coming summer and actually find that group there again, feeding in that algae on the bridge abutment, I will try and do a video for drum, because I've been thinking about that ever since I saw them in that spot. Will, you just organized yours. Went to a military surplus store and got some good little kit bags to store components. Good tip for those of you looking to get some carpy olive green stuff. I use the tracker bags. There's lots of bags out there from different companies. Another thing you can do, I know Ridge Monkey has their Gorilla box. It's kind of like a rigid box like this. Those are good. Demir uses, I think, a lot of the Gorilla boxes, and he swears by them. This one, I went on Wish. I have like, I think 7 or 8 of these in a couple of different sizes. They're kind of like somewhat rigid. This is what I store my Nash alarms in, all my bobbins. You know, it keeps them pretty well protected. We have another one that's probably double the size that we keep our action cams and other camera accessories in. I got these online I think on Wish for like $2. Just took me like 5 months to get them. Tracker bags, some of them, I think the PVA bag, I think I won with a bunch of other, like my big tracker carry-all. Then these little ones I bought myself. I like the tracker bags. They're durable. I've beaten these up. I've worn out a couple of these so far. But these I haven't been able to really do much damage to. They're pretty tough. Army surplus stuff I can see being really tough as well. Do I have any toilet roll in the trophy? Emergency supplies or something? Nothing in the big trophy, but in the kind of the medium-sized trophy behind the bottle of rum, that's the small ones from the Canada Carp, the very first Canada Carp Cup that we did. There was a small trophy in that one. Don't remember what this one's from. Yeah, the small trophy, that silvery one, Demir and I got 3rd place in the Shimano Canada Kart Cup in 2017. The bigger trophy there, that one's from, I want to say 2016, maybe? I was lucky enough with the Wild Kart Club of Ontario while that was still going. I was the points race winner for that whole season. Despite the last session being absolutely spanked by Clint getting all those fish in that session while everybody else was blanking. I had enough points through the season that I was able to win. It's actually how I won my bivvy, the 2-man chub visor bivvy that I got. High Country Fly Life, you actually sorted out your whole fishing room. That's cool. I used to have a fishing room over there. I have too much gear now. My wife had to take that over for her theater stuff and props and things like that. So the rest of the basement, you know, this whole bar area is pretty much just carp stuff and some ice fishing stuff. I have a whole area over there that's just big totes built up, rod racks on the walls. That's all my bass and like pike, muskie, other miscellaneous gear, miscellaneous chairs, bivvies, brawlies, tackle boxes. All my fly tying stuff is over there. Fly rods are over there. Then I have another wall over here that's a big shelf. That's all carp stuff again, and all my ice fishing stuff. Actually, underneath here, there's a few more sleds for ice fishing. Over in this section, I have, looks like more ice fishing gear, and Goldie's bibbies over there. And then kind of out in this way into where my sitting area is with like all my Star Wars stuff and geek related stuff. There's some float reels sitting down that Dave brought over, 2 bed chairs. I have stuff everywhere. Basically, I think I need an apartment just for my equipment. And if I did that, maybe I would actually be able to get it organized. Yes, Will, I agree. Anything coming online from like that's not made for fishing stuff, the zippers tend to go real easy. Cody K, quarter rig safes are all you need. Well, I don't use the rig safe, but I do use the tackle safe. I love this thing. It's pretty bare right now, to be honest with you, because everything is kind of in here. But you know, I have my split shots, all my rubber things over here. So anti-tangle sleeves, buffer beads, some silicone tubing for over my swivels, hook aligners, some more hook aligners in a different color, some chod beads. That's where I've got rig rings and hook stops. Here I've got some, that's silicone tubing for doing blowback rigs. That's some of that Nash silicone. Let's see right here. This compartment's usually full of tools, but they're all kind of everywhere. That's where I got my stripper tool, baiting needles and drills. Here, these ones is where I use kind of the hooks I use more often. So there's some size 4 Monster Carp tackle hooks in there. Then there's also some Raven octopus hooks here. I was doing a lot of like short sessions with light gear. When I was stocking carp, I tend to use more of the Raven octopus or chod style hooks, which I have more of here. There's some size 8 Monster Carp tackle hooks. I've got some Quarter Continental hooks in here. They're kind of like a straight eye on them, very small, incredibly sharp. All my quick link swivels, so quick link rig swivels and just regular quick link swivels for using inline setups are in this one here. Then more swivels, just regular ring swivels there, and some more quick connects. Then obviously I've got like all of that. All of that's in there is in here. Random bag. It's one of the homemade pop-ups. There's a rig with a corn stack on it. You know, I have a rig box. I think it's in my big tracker carry-all. I don't know. That's kind of what I have to do today. So after I make pop-ups this afternoon, I'm going to be pulling all of this apart and getting things organized. Now, before I dump this mess out, I also keep stuff in the PVA case. There are times when I can just take this out. If I wanted to just go down to the park lake with a short session, I have hooks, I have leads, I have my PVA stuff. So like in the top section of this PVA bag, this is one of the things I like about this, is that it can be a session bag. In here I've got solid bags, then I've got scissors that have my name on them, and then PVA mesh, refill of PVA mesh, and then a bonus lighter. I don't know why the lighter's in there, maybe I just threw it in there, but it's always good to have a couple extra lighters for doing rigs. But the neat thing about this bag here is that it's got all these little sleeves. So a lot of those Cryogen and Ridge Monkey products that I showed you in the last live stream, actually I'm sorting out in here because what my plan is I'm going to actually make this bag, this PVA bag, you know, it's got a spot for PVA sticks and stuff to go in here, and I've got rigs in there. Cases with hooks. These are like my Ridge Monkey hook link, some ESP hook stops, a mess of rigs and lead core, the manual for my lash alarms. I have 2 of these, 1 in each bag, so that I can always access them if I forget what I'm doing. But I want to make this case kind of a short session bag by itself. I'm going to have more lead stored in here, an assortment of the different hooks I use. Like because I've got so many little pockets here, I can have my Monster Carp hooks, some Raven hooks, some of these Cryogens, some of the Ridge Monkey ones, and I can be prepared for kind of everything I'm going to be looking at in those little sessions. Then in here I have room for hook link material, rubber stuff, you know, anti-tangle sleeves and such. So like I can have this fully equipped for a short session, couple hours, everything I need. And then I don't need to worry about taking all these other big items or big backpacks. I can literally just walk around with just this by itself. My lead bag. So the other plan, with that being a short session bag, this can be more for my traditional kind of setup. You know, have kind of everything I need to hand in the tackle safe and in here once it's organized and not a disaster. Like, this is just ridiculous. Ow. Like, there's a mess of rigs. This is the sort of thing that Will gets to see, and I'm sure he can attest to this. He's seen me pull rigs out of this mess and use it and catch. But yeah, just a complete disaster in here. And this needs to be organized because this is what I'll use for the majority of my fishing. If I'm going out for a full day or maybe a weekend, everything I need can be in here. And then when it gets down to it and I do my longer sessions, if I'm going to be away for like a week or something like that, I have the big tackle box to go in the big carry-all and such. Let's see here. Get caught up on chats. Dom, you saw some of the Matt Hayes Canada carp fishing stuff. It looks so much fun catching 20s on the float. Yeah, he's done a few things over here in Canada. When we did the October edition of the 12 Months of Carp, when you see us at Rice Lake, if you look carefully enough in the background, Matt Hayes is actually there. He was filming his project. There's a video that'll be coming out at some point that you'll actually get to see me describe that session in particular and meeting Matt Hayes and going over all of that. That was so much fun. But yeah, like he said himself, you can't just use like a 24 or 30 mil boilie for a carp over here because even a 2-pounder has a mouth that's this big. So it's the carp scene over here is pretty incredible. Yeah, Cody, don't listen to Will. He thinks everybody gets suckered into everything just because he'll go to a discount shop and get crap. You know, his stuff works, but some of us actually like to have branded stuff because it looks cool and it feels cool. Hey, I got the quarter tackle safe, or I got the quarter rig safe. Just ignore Will in that case. If he wants to do a whole video about just using, you know, found objects, that would be cool. He can explain what he likes about them, why he likes them, maybe compare them to some things that are actually on the market, and that could be interesting. Got to approve some of these comments because people are throwing in little digs and stuff. Will. Dom, you're envious of the Canadian carp scene. Come over. Come over and try it. You know, there's water everywhere. There's fish everywhere. You know, if you tell me you're going to be over here for, you know, a reason, drag a woman over, come to the honeymoon capital of the world, and go look at the falls. Then ditch her in the shops, and I'll take you fishing on the upper river. Bucket list trip, need time and the funds. Well, when you've got it, let me know. I will put you on fish. That's one thing I can say for sure. We'll go out and we'll do some fishing. High Country Fly Life would be purchasing a float tube in the near future. Would be great to do some things on that in the middle of the lake. I agree with you. That would be awesome, especially where you're fishing. It would look incredible. I have one. It's been hanging up in there for about 15 years, and that was the last time I used it. For two reasons. One, over time I've slowly been getting a little bit heavier, and I feel a little bit nervous in that thing nowadays. But it would be neat to get back in a float tube. I'll never forget the experience when I was actually fishing out from Brawny Creek in the harbor in my float tube, casting spoons for salmon, and I hooked one, and it took me on tour. But I loved fishing for pike and bass out of that. But the other reason is I was on a very small, kind of out-of-the-way lake up north fishing bass, and there are water snakes up there that will actually like come out in the lake and try to get into your boat, or try to get into, in my case, a float tube. And I ended up smacking the end of it with a rod and busting a rod because I absolutely hate snakes. Terrified of snakes. Can't stand them. And this one was coming right at me, and I sacrificed an old Berkeley fishing rod to get it away from me. So yeah, I don't go in my float tube anymore. I also had a bad problem with snapping turtles constantly chasing me in my float tube. Maybe I should just not be in a tube because everything wants to chase me that, you know, freaks me out. Will, just saying, got a proper army butt pouch, going to be a sweet stocking bag. Yes, you would enjoy stocking with your butt pouch. Oh my goodness. I kind of feel like Nathan's throwing it down there. And I hope you saw that, Will. Nathan wants you to do a proper review of your new day session bivvy. I think we all want to see that, Will. Maybe you can get that going soon. Maybe like as soon as you get all the snows gone, you can actually get on the bank, you know, and fish. You need to do a proper day session kind of video about that little shelter. That would be interesting. Yes, High Country Fly Life, we are in Canada. So I'm lucky being in the Niagara region. I have pretty much all the same trout you have, just bigger. But they are nowhere near as pretty. You know, we have some gorgeous steelhead here, gorgeous rainbows, absolutely gorgeous browns. We're lucky enough to have some lake trout. Not too far of a drive. I can go for brook trout, things like that. But man, they just don't have the look of the ones you have. Yeah, well, talk it up all you want. Let's see the review video. Actually get it out there in some weather. Let's see what happens. Dom, is that a net or a really old tennis racket? That is a net, actually. See that a little bit better there. That's my fly fishing net. That usually hangs on the back of my vest for when I get out fly fishing. You wouldn't believe how many small carp I've had in that fishing either ultralight gear or on the fly rod. But because I haven't been out doing that in so much, in so much, I haven't been out doing that in so many years. That's just been hanging there. And actually, I have another one that has a frying pan in it, so I can't move it. But it's another wood one like that that's a little bit wider and a longer handle. I have an issue with nets. I have just as many nets as I have fishing rods, which is a problem because you don't need that many nets. And I have over 40 fishing rods, and I need all those fishing rods. Yeah, actually, it might even be over 40 fishing rods now. But I have at least 25, 30 nets of different sizes, shapes, all different purposes. Use them all. They've all got a reason. And yeah, hopefully, because all my spots don't really cater to small fish anymore, when I do get out, one of my goals for the year, I think I mentioned before, is that I want to get a carp on the fly rod again. It'll probably be the bigger wood net that I'll be taking out, not the small one. But yeah, we'll get to see that in action at some point soon. Maybe I'll go do some fly fishing up on one of the creeks for some small trout this summer. High Country Fly Life. If you do come to Canada for a holiday, come up here, do the family or something like that, drop me a line. I know where the fish are. Depending on the time of year, we could be chasing trout or salmon, we could be chasing bass, carp, any number of things, and it's all from shore. Like, I don't have a boat per se. I have access to one. I actually have a pedal boat for going in some of the smaller waters in here, but I can get you on fish. Yeah, actually with the float tube there, being out in the middle of the lake, it does seem unsafe. A lot of people are freaked out by it. I always have my life jacket on, an inflatable one. I know it gives you more comfort and more space to move around if you have an inflatable one, but it always freaked me out that you're relying on a mechanical device to actually do a job. And I'm a big guy, and I would probably sink pretty quickly if I wasn't alert enough to swim. So an inflatable life jacket, I don't think that I would be able to hit the mechanism, pull the tab or anything properly, or what happens if you hit that and the cylinder doesn't work. I've actually used to use those CO2 cylinders for paintballing, and I have had them not function. So you put one of those in a life jacket, defeats the purpose of the life jacket. So just getting a nice snug fit, traditional kind of foam-filled life jacket in those float tubes, I would recommend over an inflatable one any day. It's just my line of thinking. You have that line of defense that is going to be safe. Will, you're happy with your little day shelter for what you paid for it, and it stood up on a rainy day. Well, I think I can speak for Nathan here and anybody else that wants to see this review video. We want to see this in more than just a rainy day. Get it out in the wind, get it out in a storm. Put it through its paces. Let's see what happens. A light sprinkling of spring mist is not something that anybody's going to be concerned about. High Country Fly Life. I like when you first go on the float tube, it feels a little intimidating at first, especially on a deep lake, because they are sitting on an inflatable vessel as such, but I have never heard of any trouble. I've heard of issues, I've seen a few issues where people aren't paying attention to the structure around, and they drift into a submerged stick, or getting into the water, they hit some sharp rocks, and then they get out so far and realize that it's actually deflating on them. Wow, this would be late 90s, maybe early 2000s. My uncle and I were way up north on a lake called La Valley Lake, and there's this creek channel from the road that you have to go in, and then you get out to this big, deep lake. It's full of lake trout and huge smallmouth bass. We went in our float tubes, kicked our way all the way out there. We're freaked out the whole time because as we're going through this shallow channel, you can see moose tracks and droppings going through the creek. So you know that there's moose coming through. The last thing we want to do is be going through a float tube and then have a moose come out and charge us in the creek. That would have been terrifying. But we finally get all the way out to this lake, and we kicked our way out, and we're fishing over, I don't know, 80, 90 feet of water in our float tubes. Looking back, it wasn't necessarily the smartest idea. But we were fishing near a rocky hump, and we were catching bass. We were doing all right. I think we had a pike as well. And then out of nowhere, Chad's float tube started to deflate. I was wearing a life jacket. He was not. And so we ended up having to quickly get over to this shallow hump where we could actually stand just a little bit. I always kept the pump in the, like, instead of inflating the backrest, I always had my shoes, my pump and stuff like that in there. So we were able to pump it up a little bit more to get him going, and then I had to hook a rope onto him and tow him out. And that was a workout and a half. Because his float tube was deflating, he couldn't actually cut through the water very nice. It was almost like he was pushing the water. So he was working and working, and not actually moving at all. So I hooked the rope onto him. I was kicking, he was kicking. We got all the way out through that creek channel back to the car, and at that point the float tube was pretty much flat. I don't think his tube ever got patched or taken out again. I think that was the last time we used it. That was pretty terrifying over that deep water. Probably, like I said, something maybe we shouldn't have done, but we were somewhat prepared and we were able to get out of there safely. Looks like Dom has to bounce. Yep, we'll catch up with you next time. Always good to see you in here. Get out and enjoy some fishing, maybe find your GoPro. Yeah, you're in agreement. Definitely an inflatable life jacket. You know, I'm sure in some cases they're optimal, but you know what? Generally speaking, people go to them because they're afraid of not having movement for casting and stuff like that. If you find the right actual, like, foam-filled life jacket for you, not just go out and buy one off the shelf, actually, like, put some on, try them out, make sure they're rated for you, you can find the right life jacket that will give you that movement that you need. I'm lucky. I have really long arms and relatively broad shoulders, so I do stick out of a life jacket pretty well, and I have lots of movement for casting and stuff like that. I know some people are a little bit smaller, slightly shorter arms, so it gets awkward. But trust me, there is a life jacket out there for you that will work. You know, it'll give you the space you need. All right. Well, I'm really enjoying chatting about pretty much everything. It's kind of keeping me off topic, and I suppose the good thing is that means I don't really have to go through all this crap. The downside is that I'm still going to have to go through this crap at some point. Oh, look, there's my scissors with a rig attached. Actually, that's one of the homemade pop-ups and some of the ESP double corn. That rig I would have been using in October up on the upper river. 2 split shots on that. Must have been one of the spots that had some heavier flow. You're going to purchase one of the float tubes from South Africa. Oh, so they have heavy duty bottoms, 3 bladders. Yeah, that would be wise. Mine has the big main bladder, and then it has 2 inflatable ones in the back as kind of a backup. Kind of a safety feature, but like I said, I never inflated those. I filled the back piece with shoes, extra tackle, The pump, because if I said if I wanted to pull off the bank and add more air, I could. So I never went out without taking the pump with me. So if you got one that you can get that has like separate bladders to help keep you up, that would be. I can't recommend that enough, just from experience. That's a huge selling feature right there. Sit high in the water. So one of the things that I've seen, so the last time I was out in the float tube, like I said, about 15 years ago, I was in my float tube where I'm actually in the water and I have my fins to kick. After that float tube incident with Chad, he didn't get the float tube anymore. I don't think he went out in that, but he did buy a kick boat where it's like 2 inflatable pontoons with a frame where he sits up above the water. Now for fly fishing, I know that would be killer. Fly fishing for my float tube, I did have issues because the tube wanted to twist every time I made my cast. However, Chad up on that kick boat, that was super stable. He even had an anchor that he would drop down. So that's another option, is those little kick boats where you're actually sitting up off the water. Your feet can be in the water, but you have oars to move around. And it's just as compact. That could be cool. But if you got like an actual belly boat that you sit in that gets you up higher, I could see how that would be cool. Mine has me right in, and the water's kind of like up to my, just above my now bulbous gut. I really need to go through these leads, see what I got. I know for this year, planning on fishing some of the big rivers a bit more. I'm going to need some more of these, more of the bigger leads. I think I have one left in here somewhere. But using a lot more of the 5-ounce this year on the big water. I'm well stocked for the smaller waters, but yeah, this is the helicopter rig I was using earlier on some lead core. These are all the Monster Carp tackle leads. These are the gripper leads, a bunch of different sizes, and the inlines. Again, on a short piece of lead core, that's one of the ones I would use for a PVA stick, or sorry, a PVA solid PVA bag. There's more lead core. So like even my lead bag, I have to clean out. Wow, that's all mangled. That's not good. This is one of the leads I got from Canadian Carp Club. It's like a little paste bomb. They sent me these. That's an 80 gram, but you can like mold paste or pack bait around it. It's inline. These are handy for the smaller waters. I did try these in places that had a little bit of current, soft edges up on the Niagara, with the lighter leads and the pack bait. The problem was as soon as all the paste and stuff washed off, this started moving with the current. I don't know, even with the holes in there, it still started going with the current. Got some that's a 4.5 ounce distance lead, but they're round, they don't do any good in the current. A bunch of those. I got some 3.5s. Again, another solid bag lead with. I don't use a long tailor like some people do for the solid bag. I actually use a short little piece of lead core. It's just a personal preference. I find that it's more likely to lay down a little bit. I've had a few cases where the PVA bag melted. Maybe Nathan, if you had this happen in your test tank or when you were looking with your underwater camera, if you're still there, it'd be nice to know if you ever had like a solid bag with like a longer tail rubber where the lead actually sat up, pointing the tail rubber right up. Be interesting to know if you've had that problem happen. I did, where the bag kind of went partially in the silt and was sitting up. The bag came apart well, you had all your offerings, the hook was sitting properly, but because the lead was sitting right up, I think that kept some of the fish away. When I started switching to this, even if the lead was sitting up slightly in the silt, the lead core laid down a little bit. I found that got me a few extra fish. Yeah, so this is one of the tracker bags. This is what I use for leads. In the top little pocket, I got lead clips. Actually, this is a little tip I'll give you. This bag I keep all my back leads, and then this main compartment is just a hodgepodge of like all my leads, lead core, stuff like that. Handy bag. This is something I recommend for everyone. in all of your tackle bags and tackle containers. Swap them out once a year when you can. Silica gel. You buy sneakers, you buy beef jerky from the grocery store, stuff like that. They all come with these little tabs of silica gel. All of my tackle bags have these. I had one in the tackle safe as well, but that came out during my last clean out of things back in the fall when I was using a lot of this stuff that made these messes. This stuff takes the moisture out. This, you wouldn't believe how handy this is. Keeping this in my little lead bag, when I throw a wet lead in there, you know, let's say there's a little bit of, you know, seaweed or muck or something like that, rather than that be a problem and leave a mess in here, the silica gel really helps dry all that out. I can't recommend that enough. That's a little tip I kind of stumbled across by accident. I had been eating beef jerky while I was fishing. Didn't want to throw the little tab, you know, on the ground, so I threw it in my tackle bag and immediately started noticing that I didn't have like wet stains and messes in my tackle bags anymore. So I've been doing that ever since. Oh, I think those were just pop-ups. So this is how I fish. Obviously this is not practical. Ooh, that's banoffee. Like I got little half bits of pop-ups, rigs. There is a dumbbell. This is one of the ones I got from Jan. This is Holland Baits makes this one. It's got a very meaty smell to it. I can't remember the actual flavor. I want to say Robin Red, but I think it was something else. I caught so many fish on these. This is all dried out and like a third of the size that it was originally. But these were killer little dumbbell boilies. Again, these ones came from Holland Baits. Jan had them because his brother brought them over, Core, you know, the champ. Man, if I could get my hands on more of these, that would be amazing. Because all the stuff that we used from Holland Baits when we were fishing with those guys was working. Dutch nuts, where we got the name for Jan. It was like a nut flavored, or nut, like kind of like the CC Moore Live system, but this one was from Holland Baits. They were catching fish. These ones were catching, man, they were really good. This is one of the nicest kind of, you know, it's almost like a pepperoni or a spicy smell to it. Kind of like the Source, but I like the smell of this one better personally. That was a really good one. Memories. A little label for some trigger link, which, yeah, there, some Nash trigger link. Had a couple fish with this last season. Didn't put a whole lot of effort into using it. I'm going to be exploring this a little bit more this season, because as we were getting into the end of October while we were still fishing the upper Niagara, some of those bites were becoming a little bit twitchier. Those fish were starting to get aware that we were there. And I'd like to try this to see if that changes my hookup ratio. Baiting needles and drills. Hook file. I don't care what company you get it from. I don't care if it comes from the dollar store. Have a hook file. This is a Penn hook file that I bought from a fly fishing shop in Guelph. We were passing through on our way to Owen Sound, and I've always wanted to stop and fish the Grand River for brown trout, but we stopped in a little fly shop. I think it was the Trout Fitters, Grand River Trout Fitters, I think was the name of the shop back then. I don't even know if it's still around. But this is like a little fly fishing hook file that you would kind of tuck into your vest. I've been carrying it for over 20 years. Still sharpens my hooks. Don't care where it comes from. Get yourself a hook file. Utility knife, great for cutting pop-ups. Marker elastic. Really don't use it. Not really fishing any spots where I need to be pinpoint on a bin lid. I like to spread my bait out and fish around everything. If I have to find a clear spot, chances are I can find a different way to fish around that. So one of those things where I'm not too worried. So maybe I don't need to put the marker elastic in there anymore. How long have we been going here? We're going over an hour. This is a handy piece of kit here. I got this one from Monster Carp Tackle. I think this is part of the ESP line. I use this ESP rig bore tubing, bore rig tubing. When I don't want to use lead core, I use this stuff, and this is for threading braid through it. Mono you can usually slide through without an issue. Braid, which I've been using a lot more of over the last 2 years, 3 years, I can't get it through there for obvious reasons. It's incredibly supple, it just doesn't go. So I bought this little piece of wire that actually slides through. Now if you get to a section of rig tubing that's longer than this, it's not going to work. If I'm using tubing, I'm usually using it half the length of this, just to protect the sides of the fish, help pin my rig down at the end near the lead. This is perfect. The longer tubing you use, I find the more trouble you have. Also, store this gently looped so that you don't get any crimps. As soon as you get a crimp in this wire, it's not going to go through the tubing properly, and you have to get rid of it. What do we got here? Oh, PVA floss, PVA string. Another reason to have the silica gel in your tackle bag. It'll help if you have like PVA string and stuff like that in there. It'll help keep this dry. Dental floss. With all my busted up plastic teeth, you can tell that I don't use this for the traditional methods, but I don't buy like bait floss or anything like that. I just buy regular dental floss. Does the job. Let's see here. Some hook link materials. This is old. I've had this for quite a few years now. This is Ace Camo Core Coated Hook Link in gravel. Still got a little bit of that left. I used the camo color stuff, the green stuff. It was killer. Great hook link material. But I think they were bought out and you can't buy this stuff anymore. So what I have left of gravel is good stuff. I've got some Corda End Trap Soft in 30 pound. Really like this. It's a much thicker hook link than pretty much anything else that I've used for its strength. It's much thicker and the bigger diameter, but I really like this one. It's a good one. Let's see here. A little bit behind on comments here. So talking about the standing up of the leads in the PVA bags. When you're using the underwater camera, you just give it a gentle pull and it lays it down straight and taut. Now, if you weren't using the camera, you don't know if it would stay that way. I would be interested to see if you can get it on camera. If it does stay up like that, leave it like that, will you get the same kind of attention from the fish, or will you actually see them shy away from it? That I would like to see. Nathan, this is what your tackle box looks like, just a complete disaster. Well, absolutely, this is the perfect comparison. What goes on in my tackle box is exactly what goes on my head. A big jumbled mess of everything that still works. High Country Fly Life is ducked out, currently at work. Thanks for ignoring work to tune in to our little live stream here. Always good to have you there. I look forward to seeing you in more. Will, marker elastic, is that related to a marker float? Some Hamilton guys were asking. Not necessarily. You don't need to use a marker float to use marker elastic. If you just use distance sticks, clip up, and put this on your line, you do that whole system without a marker float. Believe it or not, it actually does work. I don't use this much anymore, but more and more I've been using my marker float, and I've been getting better with it. Great tip, EVA kits. That's the new smartest thing you've ever done, John. Silica gel packs are going in my kit bags from here onward. Yeah, dude. I'm sure I told you this before. It seems like I haven't, but there's got to be a way. You might be able to go online. I haven't even looked yet, but if you go online, maybe you can find like packets of silica gel for, like maybe from a company that sells like shipping materials and stuff for mailing stuff out. Yeah, silica gel in your tackle bags makes a huge difference. I swear by it. And I need to replace all of mine. This is the time of year to do it when I'm doing my cleanups. Guys, try it. You will find a difference. Mint flavored dental floss to improve attraction. Try it. Will's the one that likes to use mint, and I've seen him blank with it. I don't use mint because, one, I hate the smell of mint. I absolutely despise it. Even though I eat mint ice cream. It's weird. I don't eat mint anything else. But I just use non-scented, wax-coated floss. I should do a little how-to on using marker floats for the CCIW boys. Some of the CCIW boys know how to use a marker float, so I don't need to do it for them. I'm not great with a marker float yet. Maybe I can get Demir to do a marker float video for us. That could be interesting. Standalone video with silica gel packs. You know what? Let me get online and I'll order some if I can find them where I can get little small kits. I'll do a little short video for that that's kind of out there as a normal video, because by the time somebody who doesn't normally follow the channel gets all the way through this live feed later on, they might miss that part. So yes, we'll do a video where we talk about that, maybe in a quick clip, short tip about silica packs. I think that could be handy. So there, I'm caught up on comments there. Back to these hook links I was going through. I already talked about Trigger Link, Ace, N-Trap Soft. Combi Link has been my new favorite. Nash Combi Link in Weed Green. This one so far has been my favorite hook link yet. Now, I haven't opened them yet. They're in this bag, this portable kit. I might even try them tomorrow. I have some of the Ridge Monkey hook links in there that I want to try. You can see I don't stick to any one company for hook links. I want to try everything. I want to find out what I like. So far, the Combi Link has been my favorite. Then there's ESP Striptease Two-Tone. I know Will loves this one. Goldie likes this one. I have a love-hate relationship with it. I've caught a lot of fish with this, but I've lost some really big fish with this. This is 25-pound camo. You know, here I've got 20-pound Combi Link. Here is 15-pound Ace. I got 20-pound Trigger Link and 30-pound N-Trap. These lighter ones, I've not had big fish break off those hook link materials. ESP I have. Again, I can't say for sure if it was related to structure or just a faulty spool of this. But this is my second spool of Striptease, and I've still had the same issue. So for smaller fish, or slack waters where I don't have as much in the way of snags to worry about, I don't have an issue using the ESP one. But as soon as I'm going to go for bigger fish, or if I'm in an area where there's any kind of debris in the water, I'm going to Combi Link, I'm going to N-Trap Soft. I'm looking forward to trying the Ridge Monkey ones. So yeah, there's just a personal kind of note on that as far as the hook link materials go. Try them out, test out a bunch of different ones. You're going to get different performance from all of them. Wow, I have a lot of leads in here. Some of them still have these are neat little ones. These are some Fox 1.5 ounce leads, little inline leads. These at the Park Lake are perfect. If you got little small waters where you can get away with a tiny little lead, use them. I gotta go in the lead bag. Some ESP pre-tied helicopter rigs. I've used one of them, Actually, the other one's in the lead bag attached to something. Those are always handy. Now, with my anti-tangle sleeves and my quick link swivels and ring swivels, I buy these in bulk. You know, there's nothing wrong with the name brand ones, because I do use those as well. You can see I kind of have some in here. But usually this time of year I put in an order online and I buy these. I buy all these swivels in packs of like 50 or 100. The anti-tangle sleeves I buy in packs of 50 or 100. And I get like 4 or 5 packs and they last me the whole season. When it comes to like rig tubing or like lead clips, I don't skimp out and buy cheaper to buy in bulk. I actually get the name brand stuff. I use the ESP lead clips. Those are my favorite. Sticking with brand names on those ones I find is better. Anti-tangle sleeves, it doesn't matter what brand it is, it's an anti-tangle sleeve. It's going to do the job. You can't really cheap out on those. The ring swivels and stuff like that, buying them bulk, I think that where I end up getting these is from the same companies where the bigger companies get them. Because I have not had any of those swivels. I think in all the years I've been using those, I had one quick link swivel actually break on me. Why are you calling me meat? What are you talking about? Yeah, you can call me a meathead all you want if you're talking about the braid going through rig tubing, Will, if that's what that's about. Or you're talking about using a braid main line in regards to having the hook lengths break. No. You should know well enough that I use mono a lot more than I use braid. And actually on my braided lines I do have a shock leader. I have the what is that one? It's that Corda one. The Corda shock leader. It's really, really good. I like it. Yeah, very rare. I will admit that I do use straight braid right to my rig sometimes, but it's very rare. I know you've seen me do it. That's why I'm not going to deny that I do it, but it's one of those things where, you know, adjusting my drag and using the right rod, that absorbs enough of the shock. But no, I have shock leader on my mono setups. I have shock leader on most of my braid setups. Actually, there's one of the mono spools right there with the shock leader on it. You can see it there. It's sometimes certain hook links just break, and I've had that happen with some and not others. Ah, okay, yeah, that's what I thought. There's some of the hook stops. Again, I buy these in bulk. You know, it's nothing to pop into my local tackle shop. They sell ESP products, so I can get that stuff when I'm up there. But if, let's say I can't get up there and I realize, oh crap, I'm out of these. Just like the swivels and the anti-tangle sleeves, I buy a whack of these in bulk, usually packs of, I think this is a pack of 200 or something like that, and it lasts me quite a while. It looks like anti-tangle sleeves have kind of gone everywhere. This is a neat one. This is actually one, I got this from Canadian Tire. Will has given me casting bubbles in the past. They were crap. This is actually a good one. This one's very durable. So you guys over in Europe and the UK, you guys actually have proper, like, different types of casting bubbles and bolt machines and stuff like that for fishing on the surface. I could get those, or I could just get a little casting bubble. A little bit of water in here gives it good weight for distance. Once you put the line in, it's like a silicone tube through the middle, and you just twist it, and it tightens down on the line and holds it in place, and it does the exact same job. So I always have one in my tackle bag. Very rare I get a surface fishing opportunity for carp, but Goldie and I have been at one of the local park lakes and actually did see the opportunity there. We weren't fishing for carp, however. We had our ultralight gear, ended up getting a few carp on jigs, but there was surface opportunities that if I would have had this with me, we actually would have been able to do something. You know, grab a cricket or something out of the grass, throw it on a hook, put on a casting bubble, and I could have been getting them. Silicone rots quickly though, sadly, unless you have silica gel in your tackle bag quill. Trust me, that stuff extends the life of all of this. Split shots. These are one of my new favorite things. The Corda kickers, the D-rig kickers. Man, if you haven't tried these yet, get on them. These are sick. I used one through the entire Canada Carp Cup last year. And all my bigger fish came on a snowman rig using the D-rig kickers on a size 2 monster carp tackle hook. That made a huge difference, and it saved tying time huge, because I hate tying D-rigs. There you go, from that bag. There's the silica gel packet from that bag. So yeah, you can see it's not just accidentally in one. I deliberately put it in all these cases, and that's why all this stuff is dry. Leads. Hook link dispenser. What is on that? There's actually a hook link in here. That's striptease. Alright. So I have more of that two-tone striptease. Size 6 hooks, monster carp hooks. Wow, there's a couple of these in here. These are huge hooks. These are not for carp fishing. I think I was pike fishing last year and had these in here. These are the Raven sickle hooks. Great for ice fishing, for pike, using dead baits, stuff like that, or big minnow baits. These are good. These are well, the carp here in Canada, we could use these hooks. They're super sharp, they're super strong, but it's not really, you might be able to use it as a chod hook, but I think it's just way too big. I wouldn't use something this heavy duty for carp. Something with a more rigid mouth. Pike, bass, stuff like that. An old rig, PBA solid bag setup. More bulk bags of swivels. Casting glove. That one always goes missing. I have a Corda one, just the finger stall. That's in this bag. PBA stick threading needle. Yeah, kind of got all this pulled apart now, so now I can start kind of going back into my tackle safe, kind of filling up all those empty compartments, getting them organized, and I think I'll deal with this another day. But yeah, you kind of get an idea of what I have in here and what happens. It's not a lot, believe it or not. It looks like a disaster because it is. It looks like a fair bit of gear, but it's not. Very, very minimal stuff. All the basics. But I don't really go overboard. I just make it look horrible because I have a lot of bulk stuff that I get. I don't know why I have probably 400 anti-tangle sleeves in here. Lots of the pop-up corn and stuff like that. But yeah, it doesn't take much, you know, to get your tackle box sorted. Do this. Dump it out. Pull out all the important bits. Start putting things back together and then tinker with the mess. And believe it or not, you'll be surprised at how simple you can keep this. I don't really need that big tackle box that I have. That one's a chub one. Just a tackle safe and a bits bag will do the job. But yeah, when it comes down to it, like I said, I'm going to be more mobile this year. You know, having this Tracker PVA bag as kind of like a little session bag, I think is going to be a world of difference for me. Make me way more mobile. You know, the lead bag coupled with the tackle bag, you know, these fit in the smallest of like messenger bags. Just a simple backpack. Like I have my my Urban Carp Collective backpack. It's a smaller backpack. It's full of ice fishing gear right now because I used it last weekend. But you know, throwing this stuff in there, I can go anywhere. And being a small, not bulky, not heavy bag, you know, a rod, a net, and that bag, I'm set. Well, a mat too. I can tie a mat to the bottom of that bag. But yeah, it doesn't take much. So I'm going to get back to sorting this stuff out myself. Kind of get an idea of what's in my tackle box. I might get another one of these tackle safes at some point. Just to help keep things kind of more organized, and I don't have as much of the same thing in one space. But yeah, I'm sure you guys can all relate to this at some point through your year. Excuse me. Um, but yeah, this is the time of year, January, February. Dump it all out. Go through it. Get it organized. I will do a quick clip video about the silica gel, just so you know. We will talk about that more. Um, but yeah, for those of you guys listening in right now, definitely save those little silica gel packets when you buy shoes and you buy beef jerky, whatever you might be getting them in. Save them. Um, if you put them in your tackle bag, your kids and pets can't eat them. That's another good thing. Safety feature there. Safety first. But it will make a difference. Just change them out once a year. How's the fish tank coming along? I haven't been able to get my koi yet. The day I was going to go get the koi to put in there, we had a brutal snowstorm and it was too dangerous to drive to St. Catharines. But it's coming along well. Kevin, the giant pleco, is in there. He's been doing really, really well, but he's lonely. And he's a shit disturber. He actually keeps uprooting my plants and, you know, knocking over the heater and stuff like that. So, yeah, I got a fish that likes to wreak havoc in his tanks, but it's coming along well. It's going to get better. Once it's all set up and stuff, maybe I'll do a live stream over there so you guys can see it. But for now, I'm tired. I need another cup of coffee, and I have this to deal with before I can make those pop-ups for Cody and Dan. So I will chat with you guys again. You know, thanks for tuning in for kind of a last-minute live stream. Hopefully we'll have another video up for you next week, depending on how tomorrow goes. And yeah, we'll go from there. Everybody have a great week. Hopefully you get out on the bank tomorrow like I do, if I do. And yeah, again, feel free to go on our Facebook page, throw some pics up there. You know, if you guys are actually catching fish, share them on there. Love to see them. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. And again, Urban Carp Collective. If you know, you know. Apparently I don't know which side of my shirt it's on. Toodles. Will, you got to stop saying toodles. You really do have to stop. James Scully, hitting the ice tomorrow. Good for you. I hit it last week. Did okay. Not really a fan of the weather for this week. I was going to venture up to Lake Simcoe again tomorrow, but I think I'm going to go for carp instead if I got open water down here. But best of luck. Ta-ra. Or you could just say, see ya. I'm out. Okay. Oh. I'm too old to be sitting in the chair that long. Oh, what happened?